Hey, happy
Hello.
Friday. Happy
Happy
Friday.
Friday.
I'm Dr. Bill.
I'm Professor Gene.
All right. And had a little difficulty live streaming. We couldn't live stream to our Bioactive Nexus page with LinkedIn. We're getting an error message. So we're just streaming to my profile on LinkedIn at the moment. But of course, you can always get our, podcast broadcasts after they're finished on YouTube, our website, Spotify, and everything else in between. So a couple announcements here, at least from my side. First of all, my new podcast, a separate one, Where Spirit Meets Science, is going to debut this Sunday in 2 days. All right.
I love that topic. I love that whole concept. So that should be cool.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And so again, it's kind of like it works on multiple levels, the title, because you think about that from a practical standpoint, spirit and science coming together, the alchemy of that. But it's also my personal journey as well, the scientist on a spiritual path. So it's all very much connected. Anyway, and then Gene, you've got any announcements from your side?
Oh, just that I'm continuing to. Well, there's a couple of things. One, I'm also doing my Vitamin Professor podcast where I interview different people from industry. I just finished one interviewing Lauren Israelson of UNPA. That'll probably be up in a couple of weeks. That'll be a real interesting one now that this is the 30th anniversary of the Shea. Let's see. The other thing is I am working on a book, and I'm calling it The Vitamin Professor's Guide to Real Science versus Marketing Science. It's covers about 120 different evidence-based nutraceuticals. So that's something I'm working on right now.
That's a good title, man. So and then also we've got supply side coming up and about 90 days from now. So 3 months.
We're gonna try do our podcast live from there. That should be cool.
Yep, so just wanted to let people know. Actually, don't know the location. We're going to try and do it from there. We're working on that. Actually, trying to get a spot in the press room to do that. So it'll be a little bit quieter in there, or in the supply side garden. That's the other option we have. We'll find a spot where we can set up and do the broadcast live. So it'll be kind of as live, okay? Because internet connection is not really great there. But we'll be there recording, and we're going to collectively invite some folks from the industry to stop by when we're broadcasting. And of course, we'll announce the time. And it's going to be for sure probably October 31st, the Thursday, the second day of the show. We'll do it probably in the afternoon. We'll get the exact time. But then we'll have folks from the industry drop by, and we'll just leave it at that. So it'll be a surprise or whatever who that is. It's going to show up there and get people's insights on the show this year and that sort of thing. So we're excited about that.
And then later on in the evening, we're going to do our little karaoke after party for some members of industry. We put it up on LinkedIn and it got filled up already. So
it sure did.
It should be fun.
Yes, it's our first time ever. Both Gene and I, as you know, are avid karaoke singers. We love it. We've been doing that for years. And so I said to Gene, hey, man, we should do like a karaoke event. So I found a place to do it. And we didn't know that there were so many singers out there within our industry. Surprise.
I know, right?
We filled up a large room. It'll be a small group, but this gives us this feedback gives us a chance. We have some people on a wait list too, so we have cancellations on that. And then, the next time we do this event, then we'll plan ahead and maybe we'll get some sponsors and we can get a larger room. We can open it up to more folks. But anyway, we'll certainly share some photos and videos afterwards. So the Bioactive Nexus podcast is hosting that, but we also have Jeff Chen from Radical Science has offered to share in the cost in that as well. And
as has Sun Ying Su from Nutraceuticals USA. So that's helpful.
Yep, that's outstanding. So we've already got sponsors.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, guys. Anyway, yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun with that. So super excited about that. And so stay tuned for more news on that. And then also, like I said, more news on our live broadcast, first ever at Supply Side West. So that's going to be exciting. All right. So without further ado, let's get into our topic today.
Yes.
And that is all about beauty from within. Okay.
Beauty from within.
So
big deal.
We're not talking about topical supplements necessarily. We're talking about supplements you take and the benefits you get for skin, hair, and nails, that sort of thing. So, but first, let's. It's also called Nutracosmetics and or beauty supplements. So let's give you the latest market data because it's actually pretty sizable. So in 2023, the market size was valued at approximately 2.9 billion. Can you believe that? 2.9 billion.
Yeah. It's really huge. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, the topical market's bigger, but beauty from within, I mean, hair, skin, nails, essentially, 2.9 billion. That's an enormous market. And it's growing. I mean, that's not just, it's reached its plateau. Where's it supposed to be by 2032, Bill?
They're talking, CAGR growth of 13.9%. That's huge, reaching around
enormous.
9.3 billion by 2032. So
9.3 billion in less than 10 years.
If you're not playing in this space, you're probably missing a window. You should in a big significant market sector. Gene, I don't know. I'd have to go back and double check here to make sure that doesn't include topicals as well. And just to confirm that, I can go back in that later.
Yeah, I don't think so. It does. But
I don't think it does because I think the skincare market itself is huge. It's more than that.
Yeah. Oh, it's much more. Yeah. This is consistent with some other stuff I've written in the past. So yeah.
Okay.
This is a category that is driven by a few different things. Certainly consumer awareness of holistic beauty, wellness. Demand for more natural ingredients, for organic ingredients, and just the whole rise in e-commerce that facilitates the availability of these kinds of products are all. And I would go out on a limb and also say that with the aging of America, that's another factor because as we age, we become more conscious of how we're looking. We got more wrinkles, we got more of this and that, and so even though younger folks are interested in beauty from within, I think people of our generation and the next one down are particularly interested. So I think those are things that are driving consumer awareness.
Yeah. And the kind of products we're talking about are hair care, skin care, nail care, and skin care is obviously the biggest one.
Absolutely.
And eye care even as well. So you might actually think, we'll talk about mechanism of actions at the end here. We're going to go through a bunch of ingredients in this space, but you might think, how does that work? If you ingest something, the topical, that's obvious. You put it on there and moisturizes whatever it does. But then how does that work when you take it internally in your body system? That's actually kind of fascinating to me. So huge potential here. And I think there's a huge potential for new ingredients in this space as well that as research.
Enormous potential. And it's nonstop. And I'm seeing it all the time with an interesting phenomenon. People find me on LinkedIn, and even though I'm chief scientific officer of an ingredient company, I get ingredient companies approaching me saying, "Can I show you our stuff? Maybe you'd be interested in it." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm chief scientific officer of an ingredient company, and I like to hear about it because I also do formulation work for some companies. But it's an interesting phenomenon. But I hear about new things constantly, and if we look at where are some of the major markets for this category, North America is the one that has the most rapid growth. We have, disposable incomes and established wellness culture and all, but not too surprising to me is that the Asia Pacific region kind of leads that market share. And so that's a big issue. So you want to jump into the some of these ingredients now?
That's my answer. Yes, let's jump into the ingredients. And I think if you ask people what is the first ingredient that comes to mind, and that would be collagen. Okay,
Absolutely.
that's like the number one
It's the
thing that's been around.
granddaddy of all the ingredients
Yeah,
for.
yeah. And its role, collagen's role, is support skin elasticity, hydration, overall skin health, and of course, different sources this can come from bovine, marine sources, and then poultry collagen. There's type 1, type
Oh, but
2.
wait a minute. But wait a minute,
Yeah.
Dr. Bill. What about vegan collagen?
Yes. Tell me about that. What about vegan collagen?
Yeah.
I'll put it
So,
back on you, man.
yeah. So vegan collagen. Uh, just wanted to say that currently, to the best of my knowledge, there's no such thing because collagen is an animal protein. There are companies who are coming out with a vegan look-alike. In other words, they're saying, okay, the amino acid structure of collagen looks like this. We're taking those amino acids and we're putting them together to emulate collagen. And maybe they do a study on it and show that it has some
Yeah.
similar effects. What I've seen so far is while something like that is available, the cost difference is many, many times higher.
Oh yeah.
But I suppose if you don't want to consume collagen because you're a vegan person, that's may
Yeah.
have old
And
interest to you. But
it's again the type of compound that is. It's a peptide, right?
it is a peptide.
And then there's different ingredient sources out there where they now a peptide is a common. If for those who don't understand, a peptide is a long chain of connection of amino acids. Okay, and what you'll see because the differences between these, and there's a lot of difference variation here, and it's kind of hard to from a qualitative standpoint or quantitative, I'd say. Sorry, quantitative, meaning actually measuring to kind of it goes by molecular weight. So when you hydrolyze that protein, it breaks down into smaller segments, so smaller peptides, which means smaller amino chain acids, and then it separated based on molecular weight. So no one collagen is like you can't. It's comparing apples to oranges when you're
Yeah,
looking
you
at
can, they're not all created
yeah
equal. And if you look at a
no
sort of a native collagen thing versus collagen peptides or hydrolyzed
yeah
collagen, very, very different. Bioavailability, the number of things that are very different with that. And the data I have seen suggests that your hydrolyzed collagen or collagen peptides are the ones that have the most research on them. And that research
hmm
includes, benefits for what collagen does in general. Skin hydration helps in the reduction of wrinkles.
yep
There's been some research on it for hair, some research on it for nails. There's even been a little bit of research on it for cellulite. So I mean, it has some interesting effects, and the dosage range anywhere from depending upon like 1 gram, depending upon the source,
hmm
up to 10 grams in order to get the effects that you want.
yeah.
But definitely the most significant of the nutraceuticals out there for this
Yeah. I have
I,
to say some. I have to say something about cellulite. Oh, sorry. Did you
go ahead,
want?
please.
It just reminded me of years ago. I went to this FTC workshop. Okay, and it was funny because they're always these guys go online and they scan looking for wild claims and stuff like that. Of course, there's products out there that says remove cellulite, top,
Oh yeah,
all
sure.
this kind of crap. But there isn't really any research for this, by the way, guys. Still isn't today. Very little of that, if anything. It's just part of aging. And but I remember them showing this the text of an ad that was being made, but they didn't give it context of when it was or where, right? And basically, you read it, and it would be like something you'd read today. It talked about it was this topical product going to remove cellulite, blah 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 blah. You know what year that was published? That was put out
No.
1926. Okay, so I said some things never change, man, because you still see the same stuff, the
You
same
see a lot of
claims.
that stuff. Yeah.
You still see the same
So
claims there.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. So the next ingredient I want to mention is probably, arguably, the next most well known of the ingredients,
yeah,
and that is the vitamin biotin. Now, to be clear, biotin is needed in your body. It plays a role in healthy hair, skin, nails. Um, and you need it for that. And it's particularly celebrated for its benefits its claimed benefits for hair. And indeed, if you have a biotin deficiency, you may very well experience hair loss. However, and this is a big however.
I'm laughing now because
well, that's different. There's an undeserved and scientifically unsupported reputation for promoting hair growth. It doesn't. If you look at any of the science on it, if you look at biotin, where studies have been done by itself, there's nothing. All right. If you have a deficiency in biotin and you take biotin, yes, it may help correct biotin deficiency-induced hair loss. But if you have enough biotin, taking more is not, I repeat, is not going to grow your hair. There's not the science to show that. There's not a mechanism by which that would take place. So it's an undeserved reputation, and yet you walk into any drugstore, or supermarket, or even most vitamin stores, and you pick a product off the shelf that's hair, skin, and nails, or just hair, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to feature a big old huge dose of biotin. The reality is, biotin actually has some good research on it for nails. About 2.5 milligrams or 2,500 micrograms has been shown in a few studies to be really good at helping promote nail hardness, prevent nail splitting. So it has good data for that. It just doesn't have that same good data for hair. But it is a vital nutrient that does many things in our body.
And I should make a comment about nails in this sense. So ladies, you guys go to the salon, you get those nails up and all that junk. That ends up destroying your actual real nail. And so if you're doing
say it ain't so.
So all that time you guys spend in the salon doing that's destroying your nails. So you better take some biotin probably. Definitely.
Now, are you talking about the application of like acrylic nails, or are you talking about just getting a manicure? What are you talking about?
No, I'm not talking about manicure. That's different. That's just polishing up. No, we're talking about the acrylic gels and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Just wanted to make sure everybody understood that.
And so anyway, so biotin. So another one's obviously other really common ingredients that are known for many benefits. But for skin, hair, and nails is vitamin C and E. Okay, both are powerful water soluble C, fat soluble E, powerful antioxidants. Okay, and actually there's some other ingredients that their mechanism. We're going to talk about this mechanism of action, but antioxidants in general, part of your supplementation is probably very good. It's also providing benefits for skincare, and I'll talk about some of my experience with that. And
there's even studies on combining some of these antioxidants together. And I remember studies, I think it was like CE, beta carotene, together with lycopene, a couple of different things, and showing it to have some really good effects with regard to photoaging, helping to reduce UV-induced skin damage. I mean, those antioxidants are a big deal.
Yeah. And we'll talk about mechanism of action later, but definitely for improving skin texture. Like I said, there's a lot of products for that, eye products and face products, things like that.
Sure. Retinol is another one.
Another one.
It's basically vitamin A, fat soluble vitamin. Now you need retinol. You need vitamin A for vision, for cellular development, to maintain your skin, your mucous membranes. It plays many roles. Now, if you choose to use beta carotene itself, which your body can convert to retinol, there's some data on that, taking it around 30 milligrams, and the research showing it to have a pretty significant role in reducing the UV damage and the skin aging that comes from that. So retinol itself, very, very important. Beta carotene, another viable option for skin in particular.
Another popular ingredient, which I'm sure you've seen, and definitely in topical products or whatever, but and that's hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid.
Or some people just call it HA.
Yeah, HA. Okay, but anyway, that's a really popular ingredient as well for, especially for skincare. Its role is maintaining moisture in skin. So again, this whole anti-aging effect has to do with making the skin softer, more supple, which means retaining moisture. It's not drying out. And if you live in certain parts of the country, or like me down in Mexico, the sun is super harsh on your body, and in Florida as well. So, people that lived in Florida all their lives, you can see their skin ages a lot faster
A
because,
lot faster. I
yeah,
saw that
because
when I lived in Southern California.
yeah. So where any places that have a lot of sun, you're a big sun lover. Okay, definitely make sure you're using sun protection, because even when you're younger, and these things that you do to your body when you're younger don't go away. They show up in a more pronounced way as you age,
Yeah.
in terms of degradation. That sort
Yeah, I would just add there's actually a few good studies on certain branded materials
of.
of hyaluronic acid showing it to have some pretty significant effects for
Hmm.
retaining skin moisture, just what you're talking about. So that's
Yeah,
a particularly valuable ingredient for that.
exactly.
Now, omega-3 fatty acids, one of my favorites. It has a very important role to play with regard to its anti-inflammatory properties. And of course, that's good for many things, but it's also good for your skin. And it supports the health of your cell membranes. So when you just look at its anti-inflammatory and cell membrane support functions, it's a natural for your skin. You find it in fish oil. You find it in flaxseed oil, but the form you find there is ALA, whereas the EPA and DHA are the ones that have the most activity. And the ALA does not as effectively convert to those two. So if you can, use the fish oil-based ones or use the algae-based ones. And it is great for improving skin health. It's good for acne. It may even be helpful for hair growth. So, definitely something you want to consider as a potential ingredient in a formula or as part of a regimen.
Hmm.
Oh,
Definitely.
next one.
Yeah, astaxanthin. Okay, so this would be an example of well, it's not a animal source. It's
No, it's a carotenoid from algae, microalgae.
from algae, right? Exactly. Blue-green algae or whatever. Actually, some of my graduate research at university was about cyanobacteria, which was
Yeah.
that lived on the surface of marine sponges, and so isolated a lot of cool new compounds from that. But astaxanthin is a cool compound. It's been around for actually a number of years. It is a potent antioxidant again, so put it in that category of antioxidants. You need to have, as part of your supplement regimen, antioxidants in general, right?
I take this stuff on a daily basis for a couple of
Yeah.
reasons, but it turns out to be one of my more favorite nutraceuticals to use when I'm doing skin formulas or hair, skin, and nail formulas. And the reason is there's a couple of really good studies that only 4 milligrams of astaxanthin was very effective at helping reduce wrinkles, improve skin elasticity, improve skin moisture because of its antioxidant properties, but at that level. And those results were found, I want to say it's within 6 to 8 weeks. Another thing we should mention here is, guys, unlike topical stuff where you can get an instantaneous response, this stuff you're taking in, you're ingesting supplements. You got to go through a cell cycle, which could take some weeks before new cells are grown to see a real difference. But this is a meaningful ingredient that I like quite a bit.
Yep, it is. And so those UV damage is cleaving DNA, and it's and it's generating free radicals. So having that antioxidant, which means they scavenge those free radicals. And maybe we should explain what free radicals are. A little chemistry lesson here. So,
Sure.
free radicals are entities that have one free electron, and you need to have two two electrons to make a bond. And so they're looking for something to bond to. And so what do? They kind of go in and cut through DNA and try and bind to it there. So they destroy DNA linkages, that sort of thing. So again, it's more complex than that. There's other things going on in terms of telomeres, and knows a lot of research in anti-aging. You'll see as you age that the telomere length, which is the chain, the tail of the DNA, shortens as you age. And I actually saw some research where they were able to stabilize that loss of telomeres and actually increase telomere. So,
I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, but I actually published a study on the use of a specific multivitamin that I had formulated. I got published on helping to increase telomere length in subjects. It was a 90-day study. Yeah.
The one I saw was somewhere in Europe some years ago, but it's fascinating to think about.
I'll send you a copy of my study. You can look at it in your spare time, such as it is.
Sure.
No, it's an important thing. Glutathione is another cool one. It's cool because, listen, it's a predominant antioxidant in our body, and in your liver, folks, we have phase 1 and phase 2 liver detoxification, and in phase 2 you have 6 different pathways that are involved in helping to bind with certain toxins and get rid of them. One of those pathways is the glutathione pathway, and it's a major one. And it can bind with so many different toxins, helping your body to get rid of them. So it's a major detoxification nutraceutical. And it's, as you can imagine, you're getting rid of some of these toxins. That's only going to be good for your appearance, for your hair, for your skin, for your nails. But specific to skin, there's been studies on glutathione helping with reducing pigmentation. And when I say pigmentation, you get like age spots, and you get spots from the sun exposure, those kind of things. It helps in reducing that. And so that's a very, very cool thing. You combine that together with the whole antioxidant function and its detoxification function. Man. And also, we now know that unlike some years back where they said, well, glutathione isn't really going to work, you really can't absorb it properly, blah, blah, blah. Subsequent research showed, no, they were just kind of measuring it the wrong way. It can get absorbed. You don't have to rely on NAC or something to convert. You can actually take glutathione and it will get in there. So,
yeah, cool. Turmeric. Okay, that's getting a lot of press these days in terms of the curcuminoid class of compounds there. So again, they have some potent anti-inflammatory properties and also antimicrobial properties. There is a challenge with bioavailability, for sure, with this ingredient. And I'd say largely these things are not bioavailable.
Do you know that there's been some data showing you, in terms of your absolute bioavailability, can be as low as 1% of what you take, meaning after it's gone through first pass metabolism and all of that. So one of the things, you made the point, it's not very bioavailable. That's why so many of companies have come up with methods for improving the bioavailability. And some have done a fantastic job, whether it be phytosomes, whether it be other kinds of microencapsulation or other methods. They've done some great stuff. So,
or combination.
If you're going to use it, don't use just like a turmeric powder. You got to use something that's been treated in a way where it's going to have better bioavailability.
Yeah, agree, definitely. You want to talk about the next one? I know you want to talk about spermidine, but you want to jump on that one real quick?
Ceramides? Sure. So ceramides,
because you guys,
another one of those.
Nutrient supplies that, I think, right?
Ceramides, no, we supply the spermidine.
No, spermidine, I mean.
Yeah. Well, I'll wait for that one. Let's do ceramides first.
All right.
Do you want to do ceramides?
Sure.
Okay, you do ceramides.
That's fine. Anyway, again, this is another class of compounds there that help in maintaining this the skin barrier and retaining moisture. So again, the same theme here. Retaining skin moisture is really key to giving this anti-aging look and feel and that sort of thing. And I'll take the next one. You can talk about spermidine. I know Nutraceuticals has an ingredient with that. So keratin, that's another one you guys have heard. Keratin actually is in our hair, although I wouldn't know about that.
Major protein.
Yeah, major protein, right? But it protects epithelial cells. It strengthens the skin. It controls the growth of the epithelial cells, maintains elasticity in the skin, and that sort of thing. So this is another important ingredient. There's been a lot of research in this one as well.
I would just add that there is some good research on keratin as a hydrolyzed keratin that actually helping with reducing hair shedding, the loss of hair, not male pattern baldness, but standard loss of hair that you get when you comb it or you take a shower or whatever, and helping to reduce that and improve the appearance of hair. And one of the most popular ones on the market has a couple of studies on it, but it's also a pretty expensive raw material to use. If you want 30 servings of it, 500 milligrams, which is just the raw material cost alone is like $4.75. You're trying to formulate something that's pretty expensive for a single ingredient.
That makes it very difficult.
But it does work. Now, one of the things that I'm particularly fond of is spermidine. It is a polyamine, a compound that's found throughout. You find it in almost every cell in our body. You find it throughout the plant kingdom. And it plays a lot of different roles. One of the roles it plays is it induces autophagy. Autophagy is basically your cell's housekeeping procedure, where it helps to get rid of damaged cell parts. It helps to recycle them. It helps clean up the cell so that things are functioning better. Now, turns out it also helps upregulate keratin production.
Another reason to use that maybe if it's more cost effective than keratin itself.
Yeah, so you could get an active dose of the spermidine like that our company sells, which we call Miracil. It's from rice trim. 30 servings of that costs about 90 cents versus $4.75 of keratin. So yeah, it's a little more cost effective. And there's a couple of good studies on it, and they've been done on people who had absolutely no problems. They're just regular people, no hair loss, nothing like that. But just looked at hair shedding and looked at what goes on, and they found that it reduced hair shedding, it improved the anagen phase of hair growth, improved hair thickness. And another study was done on people with hair loss induced by stress. It found similar results. Really, really good stuff. The dose is a whopping 0.5 milligram. And particularly if used in combination with some other nutrients, it has great stuff. And our Miracil actually won an industry award, the Nutrition Executive Industry Magazine Award, Nutrition Industry Executive Magazine Award for in 2023 in the personal care category for its effect in hair. So yeah, I think that's a particularly nice one. And it has many applications. It is beneficial for hair, but it's got studies on it for cognitive function, other things. In fact, our company's right now involved in a study on it for looking at some of its cognitive effects. So great for hair, I would say in particular.
Cool. Of course, there are some minerals. Zinc and selenium are known for their roles in skin and hair health. And I don't want to go into a lot of detail on that. I really want to talk about the botanicals, Gene. And I've got a lot of research in this area that I've done myself.
Sure.
There.
Absolutely. Let's do that.
So obviously green tea extract and resveratrol. All right, that's a real popular ingredient that a lot of people know. That's usually derived from grapes, I think. And they're known, again, for their antioxidant properties. Same thing with olive leaf. Now, you may not know about olive leaf. So I actually launched a product in 2007 at Expo some years ago, one that I developed that was a super antioxidant drink concentrate, way off the charts in terms of oxygen absorbance, or radical, free radical capacity, its antioxidant potential. So, and there's a typical qualitative method. It's called ORAC, which stands for, radical absorbance capacity.
Oxygen.
Radical absorbance capacity. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So ORAC, yeah. So
measures the antioxidant capacity of it.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's a qualitative way to do it. But some years ago, when I launched this product in 2007, there were a lot of products on the market like goji berry and wolfberry and these kind of superfruit approach of super antioxidants. But I had a product I launched that had fresh olive leaf. Now, historically, you may not know this, but olives, the olive tree, have a rich history, actually, going back thousands of years, actually, even. And that is, it's even quoted in the Bible in Revelations, where it says the leaf is for the healing of the nations, and the fruit, which is the olive, is to eat for food. So there's some historical. It's kind of interesting. I'm always interested in these historical references. Something in an ancient text, right? Um, but it's true. If you go to Greece, whatever, you'll see olive leaf tea. It's kind of like a cross between a yerba mate and a green tea. It's actually kind of good. Now you might be able to, I don't know where you can find that. Maybe at Whole Foods or something like that has olive leaf tea. Um, but the olive leaf, if you can imagine, if you go back to our previous discussion about the Mediterranean diet and the benefits of that, well, it has a lot to do with this antioxidant capabilities, capacities that these ingredients have, and the compounds, the chemistry of the olive leaf and olive fruit. So many of the compounds that are in the leaf are in the fruit, which is the olive where the oil is derived from. But there's far more potent components in the leaf. So fascinating stuff. I did develop an internal product we took that was a super. So again, I stress this antioxidants as part of supplementation for, skincare and for beauty within, because one of the benefits we saw for people was that not only is it for anti-aging or whatever, or healthy aging, I'd say, but also we saw people had blemishes and scars and skin softening. So they actually saw a real benefit in their skin from taking the product, which was kind of fascinating, which led me to develop a product I never commercialized, a topical that was phenomenal. So stay tuned. Maybe I'm going to relaunch that one of these days and get that back out there. Anyway, that's what I want to say about that. But again, it's the antioxidant properties of all these different botanicals we think of. And if you can think of other botanicals that have that, it's the same chemistry going on there.
That's pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
It's cool stuff.
I think that, let's see. So are we looking to expand it to other botanicals, or we want to jump into some of the combinations, or what would you like to do?
We can talk about other botanicals if you want, but there's some combinations out there. Do you have some research on some combinations of things?
Yeah, I mean, some interesting stuff. I wrote an article on collagen and resveratrol.
Okay.
The reason I wrote that article is because the company I used to work for, Twin Lab, they had Reservage, one of the Twin Lab companies, had a product where they combined together BioCell collagen. It's a chicken sternal cartilage material.
Okay.
Together with resveratrol, and did a study on that combination. It turns out that combination worked particularly well from the standpoint of improving moisture content in skin. So it was about I believe it was 1,000 milligrams of the collagen as BioCell, and that in this particular case, and about 500 of the resveratrol. And it had this fantastic effect. You got a synergistic effect by the use of the two together. So as often is the case, you get an improved effect. Then, interestingly enough, melatonin and lycopene have been used together. And in this particular case, the combination was used, and I can't tell you for sure if it'll work ingestably, but it was used topically. And they found that it improved, it helped improve, skin sebum content, help keep skin moisturized, skin elasticity, enhance skin hydration. That particular combination and the antioxidant effects that they offered, again, you had a synergistic effect. It worked together, and you might not think of something like melatonin but melatonin is an antioxidant. And certainly lycopene is, and topically it worked well. Interesting to see if maybe it would work well ingestably. We do know that lycopene for sure has applications for skin in combination with other antioxidants. So
if I remember, though, the dosage to get the antioxidant benefits of melatonin is quite high, though, isn't it?
I have to go back and look. I really don't remember off the top of my head.
I mean, you don't need that much for sleep. I mean, sleep onset is 1 milligram, only 1 milligram, but and then 3 milligrams quality sleep, and then you'll see products up to 10 milligrams in the U.S. market and Canada as well. But I think it's higher doses that kind of show that.
Well, this was topical, so that made it not as difficult to achieve.
Okay, it's different. Yeah.
On that particular study. That's why I say I don't know if it'll work the same ingestably, but it's kind of interesting that it has that effect, even though it's a beauty from within thing. show, I thought it would be interesting to mention that combination, and of course the combination of CE, beta carotene, selenium, and lycopene together have had a couple of studies done on them. That's another one, which that just makes sense, right? I mean, you're using different antioxidants together. It's better than using a single one. So yeah,
cool. So let's and again, that's a list of quite an extensive. It's not exhaustive though or comprehensive. I'm sure there's some other things I might have missed. No. But definitely think about that when you're doing your product formulations here. These are kind of the main ones that are out there. So let's jump into just a little discussion on latest research on mechanism of action, because again, I think this is kind of fascinating there. So I'll do our little transition there into that because it's on fire. All right. So
it's a hot topic.
It's a hot topic. So, so there was a study in 2022, so just a couple of years ago, that showed that collagen peptides, I remember we were just talking about this, improve UV-induced photoaging, okay, by increasing moisture retention. All right, so I didn't go back. I don't remember the details of the study, if it actually was a topical or an ingestible. Should check that. But again, it has to do with moisture retention. And I think whether it's orally, it takes longer versus on the skin. And then in terms of its benefit there. The other thing was tyrosinase inhibitor, okay, inhibition. So what is tyrosinase anyway? That's an enzyme. It's a copper-containing enzyme that controls the production of melanin.
Melanin. So that's going to help with hyperpigmentation when you get the age spots and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense there, and that's a recent study. Another one is with lutein. Okay, and this one was in 2013, so fairly recent. But it activates retinoic acid receptors to induce hyaluronan synthesis. Okay, so it acts as a retinoid analog to enhance skin health. So again, this is probably in a topical product, I think. But remember, we talked about hyaluronic acid earlier, right?
Sure.
In terms of its benefits, so that kind of makes sense. Another one in 2021 was actually a complex of cosmetic ingredients. So this was definitely a topical, but it was shown to prevent hair loss and follicular aging by enhancing. So WNT signaling. Okay, actually, I don't know what WNT means. I'd have to go back and check that. But mitochondrial activity and stem cell maintenance. So sounds
those
fascinating.
Are great things.
Yeah. So again, stem cells themselves are, kind of been talked about a lot of research in terms of healthy aging or anti-aging as well. So I'm not surprised by that. And then let's see this last one, skin aging. Again, it's very similar to the other one in terms of increasing with retinoid derivatives. Okay, so derivatives from like vitamins, like beta carotene, for example, right?
Right.
For treating skin aging. So it, again, increases collagen synthesis, protects against UV-induced oxidative stress, that sort of thing. So again, it's all about scavenging those free radicals from UV damage, whether it's internally or externally applied, has benefits there.
Coolness.
Very
yeah,
coolness.
and I would add one other thing, and that is that when I was doing a lot of work with collagen, I was rather curious about some of its mechanisms, because you take collagen from a bovine or porcine or whatever source. Like, wait a minute, is this animal's collagen integrating with my skin's collagen? Well, probably not, because it's got to be broken down and amino acids. So there's two ways of looking at it. One is it's providing you with the source of the exact amino acids that you need to build some of your own collagen, which is true. But then also some of the studies particularly on the collagen peptides, I imagine it's the same native collagen though, is that the consumption of it actually stimulated your body's own collagen production. So vis-a-vis that stimulation process, and then since it's stimulated, now your body needs the amino acids, and lo and behold, you have them because you just consumed a good source of them. So that has an effect as well. But it is, and I like the fact that you thought about, what are the mechanisms of action? Because one of the things that happens a lot in formulation out there, those of you who are formulators, is we often get redundant with our mechanisms of action in formulation. And don't use, if you're formulating something, try to use ingredients with different mechanisms of action. They approach the problem from different angles, so you get a better overall effect. One possible exception might be antioxidants, because different antioxidants address different free radicals, and one can act as a reducing agent for the other, donate an electron, and have an ongoing effect. But otherwise, try to use different, like you don't need, I'm going to use 3 different kinds of collagen. I don't need 3 different kinds. Choose one that's good, use the right dose, and go from there.
Yeah, you definitely in formulation, you want to use a kind of multi-pronged approach in terms of targeting the indication.
You get a better result.
Yeah,
you get a better result. And from a marketing standpoint, you also have a better story. It happens to be a true story, but you got a better story because you're addressing all these different angles, So,
there's a like we said, again, there's a lot of research, not just what I quoted recently, but there's a lot of research on a lot of these individual ingredients. But in terms of combination, don't think there's a whole lot on that. So it stands to reason that if you have, like you're suggesting, if we have like something, from different approaches in terms of delivering the benefit, and they each have their own research, it stands to reason that in combination that there would be a combined effect. But again, that's why it's important to do research on your product as a whole.
Right.
And as we know in our industry, Gene, not many companies do that because they're focused on using the research on ingredients, and a lot of ingredient companies, that's what they focus on, obviously, here. But what I think is really important is, and I'll say it again, is like, look, if you got it in your budget, do some small studies on your combination in total. It's going to differentiate you in the marketplace as well in terms of doing your own research. Right.
Very good. Makes a lot of sense to me. So, So I think we've covered some good ground here. Like you said before, it's not a comprehensive list, but it does give you a lot of different nutraceuticals to consider. And there's always new ones popping up, and there's plenty that we haven't even talked about that we could have, but just don't have the time to cover it all. And so, but whether you're doing a single skin formula or a hair formula, or a nail formula, or a hair, skin, and nail formula, or even an eye formula, you want to use stuff like lutein and zeaxanthin stuff to help that. That's another.
I would even suggest to bundle a supplement you take orally with a topical. Actually, in terms of the total package.
Absolutely. Yeah. I did a previous podcast with Vitamin Professor. I was interviewing somebody from one of the contract manufacturers, VitaQuest, who had a specialization in beauty from within, and he was talking about that very thing, where you combine together the topical together with the ingestible. Because the beauty of that is that when you put on a topical, you get a pretty immediate response.
Sure.
You don't get an immediate response from the ingestible, but you get a long-term response from the ingestible.
Yeah.
And so by combining them together, you have beauty from the inside out and the outside in.
And actually, that was my positioning for the product I launched in 2007. Okay, so what a novel idea. Great minds. Anyway, all right, that's about it for us on our show here. And so appreciate you joining us today. And we're going to, anything last words, parting words, Gene?
No, just I hope to see some of you at Supply Side West in October. I'll be at I'm doing 2 different seminars, and so if you happen to look at the agenda and want to come see me at one of those, please do. But also, I'll be at the Nutraland USA booth. Stop by, say hello. I'd love to meet you.
And for me, I will be there as well, but I will be working with Viva 5, actually, because I'm working with them with my company, Nutraceuticals, on a project. So I'm going to be there with those guys. Plus, like we said, we're going to have our podcast. But again, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 more shows before we get there. So we'll keep reminding you guys about that. And for sure, as soon as we have details of when we're going to do the show there, the time and all that location, then you guys can stop by and see us. And it'll be impromptu. You can walk up and just join in on that. It'll just be fun. It just make it really kind of a fun, impromptu, interactive sort of thing. And then, of course, we're going to have a chance, both Gene and I, to check out the show floor. In fact, they have something new this year, Gene, and that is they have a cordoned off section for first-time exhibitors at supply side. So you know how there's like 1,000 exhibitors there. So, you go to the people who've been there repeatedly for a long time, and you're looking for, you may stop by to see if they have anything new. But this is for first-time exhibitors, so that's going to be interesting to take a look at it.
Cool.
All right. With that, without further ado, I'll take us out, and we'll see you on the next Bioactive Nexus podcast.